The European Union, like many other countries, has decided to stop sales of petrol-powered internal combustion engine vehicles from 2035 in order to achieve CO2 neutrality by 2050. With the current offer, switching from ICVs to zero CO2 emission car may be acceptable for the richest citizen, as said this morning, but it may be still too expensive for other ones. That is the first challenge, to offer good price electrical vehicles. The second one is a challenge, is how to reach a frugal fleet in a quantity of raw materials, because to switch from ICVs to BEVs, to battery electrical vehicles, that means that we shall produce in France, if the production remains as today, nearly 2 million cars per year. So the roundtable will focus on what you see in red on this picture. Not all the products, because of course in the changing of way of life due to these rules of the European community, you may have a large car, hydrogen car, for the truck also, and the transfer to public transport. But we are speaking this afternoon of retrofitted vehicle and very small vehicles. Very small vehicles means no, not microcars, but we shall define it. So the first things we are asking to our colleagues from Lormoto, e-Revolt, Segula is, for a lot of people, zero-emission vehicles are BEVs, battery electrical vehicles, and they have in mind Tesla, in Germany, Volkswagen ID.3, and in France, Renault Zoe. What is a small BEV for you by Segula? Who answer to the question? Laurent?
Yes, I can answer to this question. Small BEVs are vehicle up to segment B. Segment B is a small 208 typical Peugeot vehicle. And we can divide it in two classes. The one is very small ones that we call in the regulations L7, which is very small vehicle, lower than 20k euros. This vehicle is dedicated for small community, small displacement within the city or short distance.
You can give us an example of car?
Yes, this small one is could be Ligier. It's a French name where you have a vehicle without permit, and or AME from Citroën, or from this sort of vehicle. It's very small, and you don't not need this your driver license up to 45 kilometers, and over up to 90 kilometers, you must have your driving license to be able to go on the peripheral of big cities.
Okay. And now we are defining what is a retrofit, and we perhaps began by Lormoto. Olivier, can you explain what is a retrofit by Lormoto?
Yes, I can, and I will. So first, I need to correct a bit, because Lormoto is not doing retrofit. I will be a bit provocative, right? Lormoto is an OEM, is a car manufacturer, using the retrofit, produce cars. Okay, you will see, and we will develop it during the presentation, that we are not doing only retrofit. We are really an OEM, a car maker, using the possibility to use retrofit. So for us, for Lormoto, basically, retrofit is to modify the engine of a car, moving from an ICE car to electrical car, on mainly for us on the EV. And what we are doing at Lormoto is addressing the market of A and B segments of the vehicle segments. So B segment is what our colleague of Segula told us just before. It's like the 208 of Peugeot, for instance. And segment A could be Twingo, the old one, and we talk a lot about it. So this is what means retrofit and small BEV for us at Lormoto side.
Okay. And Sebastian, for eRevolt, what means retrofit?
I think it's very similar, just for the vehicles which are a bit larger. So our first vehicle will be the Volkswagen Golf, still one of the best-selling cars in Europe. So the medium-sized cars. But I really liked what you said about being more of an OEM rather than a workshop, because for us as well, we are trying to define processes and quality ensurement processes which are really similar to the OEM. And I think that's the key in order to achieve scalability and really bring it into the large market.
Okay. And of course, we are try to achieve a good environmental footprint. And what are the CO2 footprint savings of a small BEV? Serge or Laurent? Laurent?
Yes,
also?
I can answer.
Okay.
When you burn 1 liter of gasoline or diesel, you generate 2.3 kilograms of CO2. So with a vehicle about 4 to 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers, you burn about 10, your emission is about 10 kilograms of CO2 per 100 kilometers. It means that if you have a battery in retrofit, a battery which needs about 2 tons of CO2 to make it, your point of break-even is about 20 to 25,000 kilometers. It means that if you retrofit a vehicle, you must have your 20 to 25,000 kilometers to go to have a positive impact on the CO2. And if you say, okay, I want to have this feedback within 5 years, to have after that 5 more years of usage, benefit usage, it means that it's for vehicles that make about 5,000 kilometers per year. So my point of view is that if you retrofit a vehicle with less than 5,000 kilometers per year, the benefit is not there. It means that also that when your vehicle is too small, or when the usage is so small, probably it's better to let this vehicle like that. And then for the next one, you change to a very small electrical vehicle. Now, size 5,000 kilometers per year, it's a regular trip for a family, for a small car in the family over the year. Just make the computation for your own usage, and you will see if it is okay or not for this retrofit.
Okay. And for you, Olivier, by Lormoto, what is the footprint you have for your car? Do you agree with Laurent's analysis, or you have something else in the pocket that decrease this footprint?
Yeah, no, I need a bit to challenge those statements. If we compare the complete life cycle emission of a standard IC car, and I'm basing my analysis on a study published by ADEME in France, which is, let's say, the national agency about everything related to emission overall. So IC car on a cycle is about 22 tons of CO2 equivalent, 22, okay? If we compare EV technology with an traditional EV technology, on a full life cycle, we are around 9 tons of CO2 equivalent, 22 to 9. What we are doing at Lormoto, as I said before, we are a car maker, but we are a specific car maker using as a raw material an existing car already produced. That means we are let's say, scrapping everything related to ICE and putting some EV and BEV technology, plus some add-ons that we can describe later on. And today, our A and B segments vehicle, we are around 4 tons of CO2 equivalent. And the main gap compared to a traditional BEV is that we are not reproducing the body in white, for example, everything related to glass also. So 22 for an ICE car, traditional one, 9 to a traditional EV car, and around 4 for a Lormoto car. In addition, but it was inside my development also, not only on CO2 reduction, our main target is to reduce the material consumption. How to reduce the consumption of steel, the consumption of which are two, let's say, EV CO2 emitting industries, and how to reduce also the energy which is necessary to produce steel and glass. So first advantage of to produce a car as we are doing at Lormoto is a CO2 reduction from 9 to traditional EV to 4 to our solution. So we divided more by 2. And in addition, we say 80% of raw material.
Okay. In fact, you give us the result for the lifetime of the car when Laurent was speaking about the yearly balance of the car. But and on your side, Sébastien from eRevolt, do you have the same calculation than Olivier, or nearly the same?
It's nearly the same, so very similar. And but I think both arguments fit very well. And the key question is also, how long do you use a retrofitted vehicle? Yes. Because I would argue that you can, use it longer than 5 years. And so you have to drive even less per year. And also that, for example, we have a modular concept where you can upgrade the car over lifetime. So in a few years, when there are better batteries in the market, you can take out the old battery and put in a newer battery, meaning that the customer can still keep the car if it's in good shape and have a newer battery with more range. And when the battery you've already used from the car, you can put it in a stationary power storage because it's standardized, and you can keep on using it. And thus you can even reduce the material consumption more and more. And I think that was a very, very good point from Olivier, to think not only in CO2 emissions, but also in material. I mean, you can then convert it to CO2 as well, but it's also about where do we get all the iron ore, all the rare earth minerals and so on. It's very good if we as the EU also become more self-reliant using the things we already have.
Yes, in fact, you answer to the next question. The buyer are interested by both environmental issues and to make a sustainable choice of the vehicle. Because when you say we can change only the battery after in the third life, so first life fossil engine, second life after retrofit electric battery EV, and to change the battery in the future to have a more better battery than the second life give. And you restart with a car with a good engine and a new battery. And okay, so and when we know the system for financing new car, but what about financing a retrofit? Sébastien, do you have a specific scheme to finance the retrofit, or it is exactly like another car?
It's not exactly like a new car. It's from our experience more to to, for example, financing a used car or a classic car. So there are different schemes you can use. In some cases, you can officially keep the car. And in some cases, the bank officially buys the car from you and leases it back to you immediately for the next years. But in the end, I think what counts is the practicality for the customer. And in any case, it's very easy to achieve that and very simple for the customer because there are financing schemes in place. So I see that as very important to offer that, but not as very difficult to obtain that from financing partners.
And for you, Olivier, do you have a specific financing team for retrofit that differ from the usual car?
Yes, we have. And I need a bit to step back to explain what at Lormoto we have in terms of vision and ambition. What we want is to make car a sustainable object. Okay? We really want that the car can last 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Okay? Like your house, like a plane, and not to be obliged to throw your car every 6, 7, 8, or 10 years. So our motto is really to make sustainable cars. Okay, then I explain how we do that at Lormoto. We are using existing car to limit the raw material consumption, the energy consumption, and at the end, the CO2 emission. But at the end, doing that, it has a significant price or cost. And by doing cars lasting 10, 15, 20 years, we are able to finance them on a different way than today. Today you have, or you buy your car as a new car, or you use a leasing contract during 3, 4, 5 years. What we want to do is to have a car financed on the full lifetime of the car. That means on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, the cost of your car is quite lower than the current one. And what we want is, as an OEM, as a car maker, to keep the ownership of the car. It's our responsibility to make it longer, to last this car longer. That's why we want to maintain the ownership on our side and to propose to our customer just something like a leasing with a lower price, but for a long period of time. And I'm sure that Sébastien told about that also. By doing that, we have developed a modular approach of our car. And we have the same example for the battery, for example. If this car is lasting 10 years, probably in 10 years, we will have a new technology of batteries. In our car, we will be able to replace those batteries in less than 1 hour. And this is how we want step by step to maintain the lifetime, the extended lifetime of our car. So the financing model is more close to what we are doing on the real estate segment or on the aerospace segment to finance assets on a long period of time compared to what we are doing today on the classical car industry.
Yes, okay, thank you. So, in fact, very few vehicles are retrofitted now, and also there are still very few offers of small and cheap BEVs. On singular side, you answer, Laurent? Why there is so few small BEVs on the market?
So, about BEVs on the market, I think today we are at the point of technology step, where the cost of batteries is a bit higher than the level to be very popular. So the batteries is about 120, 130 euros per watt, and we need to be less than 100 euros per watt to be very popular.
Okay.
But technologies are here. New technologies will arrive in the few years. With this technology will make the market very popular. So it just, for me, it's just a step that stop a bit the increases of volume. But we see that next vehicle this year will be around 25,000 euros, which becomes to be more popular. And also, due to that, due to this technology, the density of energy will increase, so the cost will decrease per vehicle. And also, they will have some improvement about making battery packs with more integration of chemistry within the battery pack. So I'm pretty confident. We are just at the beginning of this market, so we have just about 3% of the volume of vehicles which are electrified in France, for example. So it's not so much. So we are at the very beginning. So popular cars is not for today, it's for tomorrow, and much more for the day after.
Okay.
So today it's more for cars, yes, which is a bit expensive, but some people have the return of their cost. For me, you must buy this sort of vehicle if you do at least 15,000 kilometers per year, but mainly 25,000 kilometers per year.
Okay. And for you, Olivier, I presume it's nearly the same answer. And what can you add in your answer? What could be the production per year of retrofitted car? What production do you imagine? Which ramp-up you want?
So just to come back on why we don't have so much retrofitted vehicle on the market, I'm just talking about the French market today. Linked to the regulation. In France, we are authorized to do what we are doing today since 2020. Okay, less than 4 years, the regulation changed, so we are able to do on let's say a high volume bracket, high volume for retrofitted cars. So only 4 years, and this is what we did at Normoto. We created the company 3 years ago. And we developed completely our first car in less than 3 years. The forecast of our ramp-up today, we are producing roughly 1 car per week. We are at the really beginning of our ramp-up. The target is to be at summertime between August and September at 1 car per day. We are ramping up currently our factory in Normandy. Beginning of next year, we'll be at 2 per day. At the end of the year, 4 per day. And the target is for our first production plan to be at 16 per day, which means 3,500 per year. And we plan to have at least 2 plants in France over the next 4 years. So our, let's say, standard production level will be around 7,000 per year.
7,000 per year. And for you, Sebastian, in Germany, what?
It's very similar. So we also plan to scale that up pretty quickly. Start once we launch into the market. Start with a few hundred and scale then to thousands. For us, we are not building our own production plant, but rather we are leveraging suppliers who are already in the automotive industry, who are providing the components, and then the retrofit is done in local workshops. So we are basically leveraging the workshop network, which is already out there, to scale that up as quickly as possible.
Okay, so in fact, I presume that on the side of new BEVs, the volume are not the same.
Yes, we are definitely not on the same scale. A basic standard vehicle plant for an OEM, it's basically between 60 GPH per hour, mean 1 car per minute, or 1 car every 30 seconds. This is the standard actual global size of the car for each plant, of course. So that means we are completely in the different scale, of course. And if we want to have massive impact on CO2 emission reduction, so we need to replace a huge amount of existing car. And I think the both paths are acceptable. I think the reuse of existing car It's a good path, but not at the scale we need to reduce significantly the CO2 emission. This is why we reach the same conclusion. We want to save material. We want to reduce CO2 emission on life cycle. This is why we strongly believe in Segula that the good path is on the reduction of the weight of the new vehicle. That's mean for today, the B segment vehicle probably this is the core market today for European market, but probably there is path below the B segment, on A segment, or even under the A segment.
A segment is?
A segment was Twingo or Volkswagen Lupo.
Yes.
That this type of car, mainly for cities, for urban commutation and so on. And this type of car have basically recently disappeared off European road because of complexity of the regulation and so on. But we must find a way to come back to this size of car. The lighter the car is, the less material you need, and the less CO2 emission you will emit to produce the new car.
So what we see, in fact, busways are good. Retrofit is good. It's very clever, clearly. New cars is also good because we need a lot of cars, so there is a place for busway of doing. And after that, there is each customer has his priority. We have understood that retrofit, you use the body of the car, and so you emit less CO2, but it's not sufficient to fulfill the request of the market, even if it is divided by 2 in the future.
If I may, Yannick, the valid point raised during the discussion was the durability of the car. That is not often discussed within the community. We speak about autonomy of the car, zero emission, but how long the new car is supposed to last. The actual standard for ICE vehicle is around 200, 300K
yes.
for passenger vehicle. Yes. This is the not clearly said maybe in the advertisement, but this is what the car are basically designed worldwide. Then if we want to enter in more sustainable era, we need to think about definitively about the cycle life of the car and how we can improve in the future the initiative of retrofitting, upgrading the car. This is a real discussion we need to have, but need also to involve the OEM, because to make it easy to upgrade the car depend also in the future will depend also how the car maker will design the new car.
So we see that the demarche proposed by the retrofit company is a sustainable demarche, and it is probably one of the way to use the car in the future. That means 200,000 kilometers now it's common. We have to keep in mind that 20 years ago it was 100,000 kilometers. Today it's currently 2,000, sometimes 3,000. I have even seen cars with 700,000 kilometers, but it's very scarce. What we heard with people who retrofit and what we heard with Serge's answer is that finally it will be much more than 200,000 kilometers. So it is a real change in our way of seeing the motor car. So now we are going to make a little more technique. Sebastian, Golf 7, yes, it's a quite recent model, but why not a Polo of Volkswagen Up, as said Serge just before? But not a smaller car.
Yeah. The answer is pretty simple. There's a reason why the Golf is one of the best-selling cars in Europe. We want to go to the mass models, the volume models, so that we can bring our solution to as many customers as possible. And I think you really have to look what the customer wants from you. And when people buy a certain size of car or a certain type of car, it's because that's what they require. For example, if I have a family with one wife and 2 kids and I want to drive to vacation or so, a Polo or even a Up would be just too small. And that's how many people think. And that's why we thought, okay, let's go for the mass model. Obviously, it's good if you have solutions for the other models as well. And we will also scale to other cars, bigger, smaller, whatever. But that was basically our reasoning why we said, hey, let's start with a Volkswagen first. Or with a Golf first.
Yes. For people in the assembly, the Golf 7 was a car made from 2012 to 2021, if I remember, something like that. And there was nearly 6 million units made in the world. Yes. And for you, Olivier, you choose Twingo 1. Of course, question, why not Twingo 2 or Twingo 3?
Excellent question. When we created and when we launched Lormoto, we were looking for our first car to develop and to, let's say, to put our platform. Because on top of a car, Lormoto is producing a platform, not really a car. We are producing a platform which can be used on all the cars we have in our portfolio. So we decided to launch the Twingo 1 in France, mainly because it was, let's say, a very successful car with a very nice image. It is a simple car. And when you want to develop a complete platform, it's better to start by simple things, not too complex. If not, you will fail. And also, the last criteria was it's a high success car. So we have thousands, hundreds. We have a lot of cars in France, in Italy, but also in Spain. So those are the criteria why we launched on Twingo. And just to complete, we are on the way to let's say, launch and publish our 3 new models. And you will see it will not be Twingo 2 or Twingo 3, but we decided to go also on several marks. I mean, it will not be Renault only, okay? And the size is a bit higher than the Twingo.
Okay.
But our trigger was mainly marketing and commercial to decide and to do the Twingo.
Okay. And we have this for the last question. We have discussed with Sebastian. Golf 7 exists in BEV, but Sebastian, you confirm that it was not the reason of your choice.
No, we basically ignored that, so we did not try to replicate VW's own solution, but we really wanted to develop our own kit since the existing BEV version of the Golf 7 is also not upgradable, so it's not our modular concept where you can really upgrade the car every few years when there's new technology out there.
So we are beginning to speak about technical specification, so we are going to detail a little more. And Olivier has begun to answer. What are the hard points to launch a retrofit vehicle or a small BEV, because you may have a specificity, specific technical difficulty. Is it the engines, the batteries, the software, the electronic systems, the sensors? What are, Laurent, what are the difficult, Laurent or Serge, I don't know, what are the hard point to launch specifically a small BEV?
That's probably one of the biggest hard point is the EE architecture, the electronic architecture of the vehicle. For retrofit, generally in this architecture, you have 2 main controllers. One is for the motor, and one is for the rest of the vehicle. And these two ECUs, we call that ECUs, computing unit, make a dialogue to start the vehicle and to progress. When you make retrofits, you want to take off the computer, the calculator that drive the motor, to change it by another one which drive all the electric powertrain. And you have to mimic the behavior of this old computer, this old computing unit, for the other ones. And between them, they have some discussion just to start the system, to start the vehicle for the security, the safety. So this is probably the main issue, and you have to have some deals with the OEM to have all this data to be able to do this getaway, this new computing unit for your electric powertrain. And to have access to this data is very difficult with the OEM. So it's for me, it's one of our point to make retrofit. And for BEVs, it's also the electrical architecture. Because we have seen at Segula, a lot of companies that ask us to help them to develop these new vehicles. And today, the market of OEM, the market for the parts is designed for big OEM, but not for small ones. So it's very difficult to have an architecture just for a few thousand of vehicles, because you have to adjust each software in each ECUs, and the companies doesn't want really to do this effort for just a small production compared to another one for big OEM. So this is a big issues in terms of developing a small series of small vehicles, because this sort of vehicles is not very big series per year.
Okay. Sebastian, you have chosen Golf 7. It's probably not the easiest vehicle to launch due to this electronic explanation. You confirm?
100%. I mean, Laurent described it perfectly what the challenges are. And I would only add at one point that it's, as you said, very hard to speak to the OEMs and get the data. And even if they want to give you the data, I mean, they are large corporations, it takes years until you talk to the right people and they have all the clearances to give it to you. So what we are doing instead, until now at least, is to reverse engineer that. So it is possible to get this data, this CAN matrix, as it's called, by yourself. And in the end, it's just weighing the pros and cons, what's easier and faster, how you approach that.
Olivier, you were right to choose the Twingo one. It is a little less difficult.
Probably, nevertheless, I completely agree with what has been said before. And this is the reason why at Lormoto, we developed during the last 3 years our own data platform. We have inside the Lormoto team one of the best experts of that in the automotive industry, and he developed completely our platform, which enable us to overtake this issue. That means we don't have any issue on architectural topics on the vehicle. So it was an hard point, but for us, it's not at all now an hard point. We overtake it. And in fact, the hardest point that we faced is that, as I said before, our motto is to produce sustainable car. If your car is lasting 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, what will become the interior of your car? Probably the motor will last long. The battery, we can change the battery. But what about the interior, where you are living in your car? We developed also a specific platform where we are able to change every 5, 6, 7, 10 years, when you want, the interior of your cars. Okay, so it was an hard point, but we find the perfect supplier to do that in order to have the possibility to refurbish, renovate, retrofit. We are not talking about retrofit about the engine or the battery. We are talking about retrofit or refurbish about the interior. I mean the seat, the cover of the seat, the foams of the seat, the door panel, the central panel, some features that we are able to add. So the hardest point was to build the, let's say, the ecosystem around us to be able to refurbish also the interior.
So we see that on an economical point of view, in fact, this curve we have, this turn we have in the industry to switch to electrical vehicle it's not so simple. It's not, we have a lot of work, and I presume this work is founded on some specific patents. There are patents for the very large vehicle, of course, that you can probably use, but do you have a specific patents also for small vehicles? Olivier, when I hear you, I don't know if you have registered patents, but why not?
We have, of course, we have built a platform, and on this platform there is a critical point, which is the cornerstone of our platform. I will not go into detail because this is clearly the asset of the company. It's something between the engine, the gearbox, and the transmission. So this is where we have our patent. All the rest, more or less, it's not with patent, but we build specific contracts with our partners or supplier in order to have some exclusivity there.
And for you, Serge, you answer for the BEVs?
Yes. So as a Segula company, the engineering service provider, we are working for our customers. That means most of our work is patented by the customer. In Segula, we are promoting now a standardization of a small platform. We would like to help one of our customers to develop this new standard platform, maybe in open source, in order to have the maximum scale effect for many customers. That means at the end of the day, if you develop the platform, the wheel, the basement, and electronic architecture, then the idea is to provide a platform that could be after that adjusted by many companies in order to have the scale effect.
This morning we speak about the competition with Chinese, and these patents. It's a way to protect Europe and the USA, Canada from Chinese competition or not?
Okay, this is an open question, but I think Chinese are far away from us as per today. They have already standardized many equipment. That means when you go to China for today, all equipment are basically on the shelf. Mean if you want a motor, an inverter, a reducer, whatever you want is already existing in China, and the electronic architecture for Chinese vehicle, I'm sorry to say that, but they are far more advanced than what we have today in Europe.
So you have a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work to do to catch up, and fortunately today what is happening as a new trend, the Chinese, because thanks to the standardization at the level of China, have developed a very aggressive or very efficient modular approach that allow Chinese car maker to develop car faster than we are doing in Europe. So the challenge we are facing today is to develop new method to be able to develop car in a much faster way we used to develop in the past.
Sébastien, you in Germany, do you have the same feelings than Olivier and Serge, or do you have a specific feeling?
I mean, basically, we have also filed patents for our key components, obviously for Europe, for China, and for the US. But I agree, if you look at China, the technology is already there. They have very good components there. And in the end, it's a question if a Chinese company wants to copy you, I think they can do it, at least in their own country. So the solution is rather to build very good ties so that you can cooperate with them and also be successful in that market once you go there.
And of course, when we speak manufacturing, the first question is, where do you produce? What do you produce in-house? And what do you buy in Germany or in Europe? And what remains to be bought in China or somewhere else? for you, Sebastian?
Yeah. So how we split it up, we try to keep the company as lean as possible, meaning that we are doing the development or the project management for the development in-house, and for the actual development, like the construction, the detailed engineering work, we have partners. They are all over the world, most of them in Germany and Europe, and also in China. And then the parts, or at least the majority of the parts as of today, comes out of China because it's just so much cheaper. If I bought these cars or these same parts in Europe, it would be 5 or even 10,000 euros more for the end customer. But obviously, it would be great if I could buy them locally. And yeah, I hope that we can go there in the future. But until now, as I said, it's China because of the prices.
And for you, Olivier, the same as Sebastian?
For the development, project management, everything is done in-house, and it will be done in-house. For the production system, we are doing it in-house. That means we have our own factory where we, let's say, buy IC cars, we dismantle the car, and then we refurbish them and we reproduce a new car. This is done in-house. For the BOP, our, let's say, ambition is to buy everything or in Normandy or in France or in Europe. We want to really focus on sourcing our components, at least in Europe. And we want to not be dependent on whatever US or China or wherever. Today, as Sebastian said, we don't have the choice for some components. For example, the cells, the battery cells, because we are producing internally our battery packs, but we are buying cells, and the only way to buy cells is to buy them in China today. So we buy them in China. We want to relocalize the production of the cells. You know that there is some factory coming in Europe, but it's not really for us for the moment. Then charger and DC are both in China, and all the rest is from Europe. It's part of our DNA. Even if the prices are higher, we will buy them in Europe or in France or in Normandy in order to be not dependent on the other regions. Okay. So this is what we are doing. The industrial side of Lormoto is a big side of our activity. We want to be, and we are a car maker. We are producing internally, and we want to buy maximum of our components locally and no more in China or US or something somewhere else.
And this target to be local, it's very, very nice for customers. And for new BEVs, new small BEVs, it is the same thing, or because it is a small BEVs, they buy more parts in China than for the other car?
No, basically, the trend is the same. You know, the challenge that all OEM, European OEM are facing now is that they have to use some existing asset, physical asset, but also human asset. At the end of the day, to follow the transition we also need to, the OEM need to provide activity to their own people. That means the trend is to make more and more activity in-house compared to the traditional way. That means phasing out ICE component and phasing in electric component. The challenge is to be cost efficient and again to be at the right speed. If you take 2 years or 3 years to make industrialization of a new electric component, with the current pace of technology change, you will be probably out of the market. So increasing the speed of industrialization is also a challenge on top of the challenge of the cost, because beating Chinese cost is, of course, already extremely difficult. But if on top of that you are slow, too slow, you are not succeeding. And this is what most of the OEM are today facing. So idea is to produce locally, not to be dependent, to avoid dependence of China, but economic facts are hard for the time being. It's difficult to avoid Chinese sourcing for the time being for economical reasons.
Yes, it remains 5 minutes for us, and after we shall switch to the question. And so what I see on the market, more and more new cars are sold by a long-term leasing. And when I hear our two colleagues from Retrofit, they say, oh, no problem, we shall change the battery on the car, the lifetime car will increase. I presume it's the same, Laurent, for the new BEV, whatever they are, small or large.
Yes, because there is a regulation where OEMs have to propose and to show their life cycle analysis of their BEVs, and to decrease the CO2 emission is one of the best way is to increase the lifetime of the vehicle and of the battery. So probably the OEM will switch your battery just to propose you to sell you another ones after at the end of the 8 years of guarantee. They will propose you to change it just to have another range of guarantee, and then the old one they sell it to another company that will do the job of a grid storage.
Okay.
To extend it. So by this two life of the battery pack, then you have a very good impact on the CO2 emissions and also on the car. If you can increase the range of the car by this way, it will be good.
So all of you are quite optimistic that in fact the European rules has not only the purpose to decrease the CO2 emission, but also the consequence will be probably to have a longer lifetime of the vehicles on one side and the battery on the other side. Yes or no?
If I may, not exactly. Please, today we are focusing on CO2 emission, but the European regulation include also particle emission, and you may discover that BEV are emitting particle, and this particle will be forbidden or asking to reduce. So particle emitted by the brakes, the tires, and so on. So you have also coming the PFAS ban, so ban of some component, dangerous component that will change also dramatically or have a deep impact on the production of the car. That means it's not because a vehicle today is CO2 zero emission of CO2 that it will comply to European regulation in the future.
Okay. Yes.
So it will depend what the choice will be between elongating the life of existing vehicle or banning component or making a more stringent regulation on over pollutant.
And because we have 3 minutes and we are speaking about another solution, in fact, which was a possible solution to replace ICVs that emit CO2. We hear a lot about autonomous zero-emission vehicles. Laurent, you can explain us why it could be another way to achieve our target?
Yes, because the main issue on the electrical vehicle is to push vehicle to be used for transportation and not to stay in the garage with just a few kilometers per year. So the goal is to share it, and the best way to share it is to call it, and the vehicle will come to you at the minute, at the place that you want, then you use it and then finish. So when the vehicle will be autonomous, it will be very easy to share cars. And today it's very difficult because if you want to use car sharing, you have to have 10, 15 minutes to go to take the car, to a place that you find it, and then at the end you have to put it in the place and go back to your home by 10, 15 minutes. So you lose too much time, and a lot of people start to want to use it, but it's not usable. So the autonomous vehicle will change very deeply the usage of the car and the car sharing, I'm sure.
So you have seen that, in fact, it's private firm, but they have the passion of their work. And now, if you want to ask some question to them, no problem. They are here to answer to all the question you are interested in. So, I see our number one question. You?
We're implementing zone for low carbon emissions in many municipalities now. And so there are massive amounts of cars that are taken out of the market before this 200K, 300K kilometers target that you mentioned. So I looked this up. So that's my first question. Do you actually know where those cars are going? Because I couldn't find the answer. Second, what's your view on these policies? Is this an instance of us trying to lower emissions at a cost right now, but impeding our ability to do so better in the long term? That's my second question. And my third question is, do you have any meaningful connections with public authorities in this respect? Is this a pool of resources you can tap into or you have conversations about? Thank you.
Who wants to answer?
So where the vehicles are going? Where the vehicles are going? Basically, most of them, some are completely destroyed. So that means we are destroying vehicles that are still able to run. So this is completely opposite to the idea to reuse. And so some vehicles are scrapped, and definitively some vehicles, and this will continue, go outside Europe, because this discussion we have today about zero emission banning ICE vehicle, it's very localized to European and China, but most of the world is still thinking that and developing ICE combustion engine, improving the combustion engine. That means some of the reused car will definitely go to outside Europe and will continue to run and emit CO2 emission for quite a significant long period. And the discussion about the company and the regulator, I was working before joining Segula, I was in Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, so I was in charge of industrial strategy. What happened after the Dieselgate is that the rational discussion between OEM, engineer, and regulation have basically been stopped. That means we take some orientation, okay, fair enough, this is now the regulation, but the feasibility and the impact of what we have decided have not been completely assessed. So for the time being, it's look like each time we are banning people to enter center of city, because it's really brutal, and we have to think about what kind of alternative solution we are providing to these people. This is my feeling as a French voter, French people. How do people who have no alternative could commute if we completely ban the vehicle? This is not solved yet. Definitively, the vehicle today, as we know, are too expensive. So there is a roadmap. There is a roadmap to reduce the cost of the vehicle, but this is not will immediately happen. And what, from a social perspective, you must understand the brutality of the speed of the change of the regulation. You may know that the Mirafiori plant of the Fiat 500 is currently stopped until September.
It's Fiat 500 is an electric vehicle.
Yes,
it's a BEV.
The BEV. The Zwickau plant of Volkswagen is stopped also, completely stopped. That means today the worker in this plant, and there is many other plants, that they have no activity, and they know that the car we introduce in their plant is not selling today. We saw the discussion. This situation will probably become more and more complex in the future. So I don't know what will be the result. On one hand, you have the big OEM that are saying now, do not change the regulation because they have already invested a lot. But on the other hand, fact is BEV are not selling as planned. The quantity of BEV in Italy, I think 2%, have dropped to 2%. In Spain, same 2 or 3%. So we are not in the path we plan to be.
And for you, Olivier and Sébastien, do you have something to add to this question?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sébastien. Go ahead.
Okay. No, actually, I couldn't agree more. I am against bans because it's just a policy against the people, against the voter, if you ban millions of people from driving into the city. And I think it's more about finding smart solutions and just supporting companies and universities who are developing smart solutions for the future, and also to develop a fair, regular environment. For example, you know that automotive manufacturers, they have to achieve certain goals of how many electric vehicles compared to their whole fleet they push into the market. And if for example, if I'm a large manufacturer like Volkswagen and I produce a new electric vehicle and emit a lot of CO2, then this is something I have to do. If I were to retrofit an existing car, that wouldn't give me any credits at all. So in fact, I'm incentivized by the regulation to produce more CO2 by producing new cars and not doing the feasible solution of retrofitting and of reusing what has already been produced. And I think that would be a very good lever for the policymakers to just develop a fair environment where really the best solutions are developed and then offered to the people.
Okay. Somebody? Oh, you.
Yes, just one point. So we all agree about the target of 2050, but this target is a reduction by 20 of CO2 emission. This is a big constraint for OEM, and this constraint they can't follow the roadmap by themselves. So this roadmap must be driven probably by financial support from states, because it's not feasible for the OEM to do all the job. And today the technology is not there to fit with this roadmap. So the cost is a bit too high. But we must sell cars. We must sell electric cars because we have to fill the used car for tomorrow. And the used car will be for the next 5 years, 10 years. We must have a used car for people that do not have the money to buy new cars. If we don't sell electric cars today, we will not have used cars tomorrow. For example, me, I just bought 2 new cars during my lifetime, and all other cars were used.
André, do you have a question? Yes?
So, first, I thank you very much for this very interesting talk by, I think, many engineers. So I hope that, Moshe, in your talk, you will speak a little bit about the other side of the coin, which is the demand, because the technology changing, the demand may be changing, and it's important to consider. You cannot speak about everything, but okay, I hope Moshe will have time to speak about that. And my only question is, when the usual reason, or one usual reason that firm discuss is to say, okay, yes, we produce products with a short lifetime, induce obsolescence and so on, because anyway the technology is changing, so it doesn't make sense to construct product which lasts forever. So that may be true or not in your case. And I heard that there is some legislation about environmental issue, that is local pollution. So if tomorrow the EV car you produce, it become a criteria 3 that is and no more allowed, what do you do? Thank you.
Well, we want to answer. Serge.
What is happening now is if the electric vehicle are banned, for the PFAS ban, for example, need to redesign the car. That is already started because the PFAS ban is for 2027, I guess. That means all the cooling of battery have to be redesigned significantly, because it's not only a change of material, it's a deep change on pressure and blah blah, that need to change the hardware of the vehicle. That means already we have started, the OEM have started to think about how to change the cooling system, the brake, and to continue to evolve, because the vehicle will not be compliant with the future regulation, even if they are CO2 neutral. For the previous question about obsolescence and so on, as a matter of fact, some customers want up-to-date car. They want connectivity. They want the car up-to-date to the regulation. The new GSR2 regulation that start to be implemented make mandatory for the vehicle to recognize the signal and to adjust the speed according to the speed limitation by automatic recognition. So, of course, a car of 5 years old or 10 or 20 years old does not have all these features that will become a little bit more and more mandatory for new buyer.
If I can add something, question to Lormoto, can you add this feature to the car, or are you in trouble if this kind of regulation about automatic speed?
Olivier, question for you. You have answer question?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, loud and clear. Yeah, it's a very, very valid question. And as I said, Lormoto is a platform. We design the platform. Each box of the platform is not dependent on the others. That means we can change every single element of our platform by not modifying the rest. That means, basically, if we want to add some features, speed limitation or recognition, for example, or anything else, we can do it easily. We are already doing it in our car. So we took the example of the 20 years Twingo one. We could have some recent and modern feature inside. It's not a problem for us. This is how we built the platform. I just want to take the opportunity of answering to answer a bit about the regulation. I will just take the example in France. I don't know at all the regulation in Germany, for example, but in France, we have a very interesting regulation for what we are doing, meaning we have public incentive related to retrofit vehicles. That means the French state is supporting this industry by putting in place some public incentive, and those incentives could be 4,000, 5,000 euros per car, so which is really interesting. And the second regulation that we still have in France is regarding the zero emission zone. Maybe the first question was also about that. So the zero emission zone in France is also supporting by public incentive what we are doing. So even if a BEV today the price is higher than the ICE, with the public incentive, and we know that they will not last forever, but today those public incentives, first the zero emission zone plus the retrofit bonus, could make, let's say, a counterbalance of the higher price.
And for you, Sébastien, are you ready to add to your vehicle a system for reading the panels and limiting automatically the speed of your retrofitted Golf?
Yeah. Maybe before I answer that question, to your question, Olivier, so we don't have this legislation in Germany. We know that you get this benefits in France, and we hope that it will come to Germany as well. But
yeah, we hope also to enter in your market.
Yeah. But, okay, sorry. Back to the question. So the beauty is that our car, the Golf, for example, it is already pretty new. So there are many systems like this speech recognition already in there. So our systems, our electronic control unit maintains all these systems, which is quite a challenge, but we are able that everything works on. And that's also the vision for the future, that we can retrofit even new systems. It will take some years down the road, but I can even imagine that you have a car and once autonomous driving or level 3, level 4 comes out, that you can maybe retrofit that to the car to make the car even more sustainable.
Thank you.